invisible man. Oh, the invisible man.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Invisible Man. I've got a very, very special guest for you today. One of my very best friends and musical partner many years ago when I used to live in that old place across the pond. So I guess quick introductions about us then, Ryan.
Yeah. So sitting off to, is it this?
Yeah.
No, it's this side.
Don't do
This
that.
side of me is Mark David Stollard. He uses his middle name even though he doesn't have to.
And this is Ryan Jans. His middle name is also David, but he doesn't use it, even though he should. And we are. It's all in the mind. Yeah.
Hey, it's getting better.
It's getting better. Yeah, that lag. It's all lag. It's not anything else. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, we'll blame it on lag this time because that definitely was there.
So this is great. And in fact, we can probably just copy and paste every intro for this show, right?
Yeah.
Because it happens every time. Anyhow, so
before we bring Gavin on, for anybody who is watching us and joining us today, we have had lots of different people over the now 2 years. This is coming up on about a year and a half that we've been doing this, right? Not our full 2-year anniversary yet, but we've had lots of guests. We've had lots of stuff. This is kind of getting old, familiar territory. This is the one guest that I was nervous about having on. And the reason is that Mark and Gavin, Mark has spoken of Gavin quite fondly throughout our time, even just Mark and I, our time together. And there's a number of songs that Gavin co-wrote that ended up being on the It's All in the Mind. And so I am now very nervous about hearing Gavin's feedback on some of the songs that he co-wrote with Mark. But that's my own set of insecurities that will hopefully we can get through on this show. But without further ado, come and join us all the way from England, Mr. Gavin George.
Hey, Gavin, how you doing?
Well, it's an absolute pleasure.
Yes, it must be.
To finally be a guest on your show. What's your name again?
Well, actually, talking of names, when Gavin and I were, we performed as Stallard and George for a little while, and then we decided on a name. One of the names we thought we were toying about for a name for a band, I don't know if you remember this, was John. Do you remember that? We never actually did it. We never actually did it, but for about a week or two, we were going to call ourselves John. You remember?
I think it was Stallard and George. Because, that was the nearest we were going to get to Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah, well, actually,
right. Yes, indeed.
Well, I always told Gavin that it would have to be Stallard and George, because if it was George and Stallard, we would sound like solicitors. But the truth of the matter is, I wanted my name first because, well, my name deserves to be first.
One of our first inspirations, so Simon and Garfunkel. I remember you playing it on that old black guitar, sitting at a railway station.
Oh yes, indeed. Well, I could probably get my guitar and start playing it now if you want.
I can still remember that now. So that was one of the pulls to team up with you. The first few weeks we thought we were going to be Simon and Garfunkel, and then we decided we're going to be the Beatles, and ended up being none of them really.
Yeah, yeah, trying to be. Although Beatles, I think were always was always my goal. I always assumed that. I think we said this to each other, Gavin, was that the reason that God had allowed the Beatles to get so big was so that we could be even bigger, right? And that happened. Yeah, anyhow.
Oh,
you mentioned the blues before the show, and the inspiration you had about the blues. But I think we tried to be a blues band, a jazz funk band, and a folk band, and just about everything you can think of, didn't we?
Reggae. We had a couple of reggae tunes, yeah.
Everybody flirts with reggae at some point. Right before I met Mark, I was in a reggae ska band, and we were called Screaming Fleas.
Yeah, well, that was Must Be Crazy, and forget the other one. And there's a couple of I can probably find those songs too out there, just to embarrass us.
So Ryan, sort of 30 years later, has Mark solved his identity crisis?
Which one?
Yeah, good question. Which one?
Yeah. Did I have one?
I think I may have given him some more crisis to work through now. So.
Well, you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna let's see who has the. Just watch this. Who's the one with the identity crisis?
That is no joke. It's hilarious because that's exactly what it is. Mark would come to we used to practice in the basement of my house, and he'd come by and I'd be sporting my beard, and then for like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden, bam, I'd have a different facial hair. My beard would be gone. I'd have like a giant mustache, and then like 3 weeks later, it'd be a goatee like this, and then it would be like just a soul patch, and then like it was never changing. Yeah.
So you must have been experimenting over lockdown. You had a few different versions for lockdown.
No, I actually still work full time. My profession's considered to be an essential service, so I still have to work. So I don't get to experiment. But I've been told by no uncertain terms that I am not allowed to have a mustache. But trying other things is fine. Somehow, like the big, huge mutton chops is better than having
just a mustache.
A mustache.
Yeah,
I don't get that one, but whatever.
Well, because all the years I think Gavin and I were together, there was you sported a really thick Magnum mustache, right? Well, we'll see some pictures in a minute. Anyhow, couple of people that just have joined us. Pauline Santoro has joined us, regular there. Nice to see you, Pauline. Oh, nice to see you there. And of course, Gavin, you'll remember this name, Simon Lowes, and King of the King's Road is what he says. So Simon was actually one of our drummers for a while there when by that time we had settled on the name Trademark. Anyhow, so hi Simon.
That wasn't a subtle hint that you were going to trade Mark, were you?
No, but I was our drummer at the time was playing around with that. Well, actually, when Gavin and I first started to get together, there we hadn't really. I don't think we really discovered it. We realized what we wanted to do musically. Even we were just really learning. Right, I'd only been playing a year and a half, and Gavin had lessons, given it up, and then picked it up again. And so, but the drummer we had at the time, Tim Brown. That was a nice guy, but we sat down one day. I'm not sure if it was before Gavin joined or not. We're having breakfast, having some cereal at Tim's house, and he looks up and goes, Tim and Mark, Trademark. So that was one of the options for the name. And soon after Gavin joined, Tim walked away. He didn't like what we were doing. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, and then later I remembered that name and we used it for ourselves.
I liked it as we went into the jazz funk era that we had for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's when we tied up with Simon, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, it was around then. We had, as usual, right, when we write songs, and I still do it, I usually write 2 or 3 at a time, and I've rarely got one song going. And often it's, you're right, I'm writing 2 at a time or 2 very close to each other. And that particular time, around that period, it was King of the King's Road, which we are going to hear a little bit later. I've got a slideshow of some very young-looking Mark and Gavin's Trademark. So we'll see that in a little bit and hear the music. What was it? The Poor Imitation of Love. I think that we both had parts in writing those, but King of the King's Road was your project. And I think I wrote the last verse or something. And same thing with Poor Imitation of Love. It was always that case of, as I recall, was, I've written half a song, or I've written 2/3 of it. Can you finish it off for me? And that's ended up how we ended up getting double credits on songs.
That's what partners were for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Partners and rivals as well, really. bit of trying to better the last one.
Yeah, might bounce around.
Try and improve all the time, but helping to finish off those semi-written songs or sew bits of songs together.
Yep. Oh, actually,
Yeah, it's not too dissimilar from how we go. I'll write something, or Mark will say, "Hey, I've got this sequence of chords, and I'll add a little bit to it." But the only thing I'm not allowed to do is write lyrics. Anything else is fair game.
Well, you're
And we've
allowed
already-
to. It's just not guaranteed we'll use them.
I might as well just say no. Just say no at this point. I've never claimed to be a lyricist. If there's one thing that I struggle the most with in any of my songs, it's writing lyrics. That's just not. That doesn't come naturally to me. So having someone like Mark who it just seems to be a very natural thing for, that's great for me. That way I can sort of focus on more musical stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we have a kind of like it's a different relationship than Gavin and I had. We'd sit down pretty much with a pad of paper each and guitar in front of us and literally just hammer through until we had. And we'd work together, and often we'd work together until we actually had a verse chorus at least, and then we'd walk away, and whoever came up with the next verses. With me and Ryan, we jam. It's just Ryan will come up with this bass line, or I've got some chords, and then he'll do something. Oh, try this, try that, and it kind of comes more organically when we're writing together. It's kind of which is why I'm always interested in how other people write songs. One of the most common questions I ask is, well, how do you go about writing songs? What's the method you use? So, because it's kind of quite completely different. So you've not been writing songs very much lately, Gavin?
Not for years. My little bits of assistance for you is all I've done.
Oh yeah.
When I've kind of abandoned it really.
But it was the best stuff.
No, I mean if we'd have got a few more gigs and found Ryan a bit earlier and kept Simon on drums, who knows what could have happened. But yeah. I found a different world calling for me.
Well, I think that we could probably tell the story beginning to end, but jump to the end. I think I was the one that left. In the end, it was lots of reasons. I don't want to bring up any names. I don't feel negative about it now. At the time, I was a little bit pissed off, but I left. Wasn't fun anymore. So it wasn't. Then of course, then we all. I'm sure that we would have. Ryan and I have had our differences, and there was a little while where we weren't talking to each other, or I wasn't talking. But you miss your best friends, right?
That's unusual,
Yeah, you miss your best friends, and so then I just ate some humble pie and said, "Hey Ryan, let's get together again." And so I'm sure you and I would have been playing again had I stayed in England. I'm sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sure, been long.
So Ryan, what's your musical inspiration? Because when Mark told me he'd hooked up with someone called Ryan Jans, I thought, well, and he plays bass. I thought this guy's going to be some super jazz funk player or something. And then I started to hear what Mark was writing and performing with you, and I wasn't sure where you came from musically.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's as broad and diverse as my music collection. I guess my main big influences, like when I first picked up bass and I wanted to learn how to play. What was it? I was in grade. I want to say I was about 13 years old, so I don't know about grade 7. Yeah, grade 7, and all my friends were into like Nirvana and all like the grunge stuff that was happening in the early and mid 90s, and we just wanted to play Nirvana and Nirvana tunes. So that's how I got started. Was like dissonant punk. And obviously I found other styles of music and punk and then eventually when like I said I was in a band before I met with Mark. I also had another band on the go when Mark and I were playing full time. I was playing in a metal band, so I had both. I had punk, I had metal, I had ska. I had, and you can pick up things like reggae and stuff that's similar to that. But I'm all over the musical map, man. Like the only thing I don't particularly like is pop country. I can find a certain amount of like and comfort in just pop music, right? So like Michael Jackson or something like along those lines. But I just can't land anywhere in the pop country world. Like I just can't do it.
So, glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, it was.
And I'm sure of the few people that I know who absolutely love country, I'm gonna get an earful the next time I talk. What do you mean you don't like country? I'm like, have I ever given you the impression that I like country? When have I ever done that? That's never. So
Yep. And
I was brought up on country, but I think when I came across Mark, I was trying to find more music, and apart from the fact I was a bit scared of him, I liked music he was into. I still am scared of him, really.
and you should be. You should be. You're wanker. Yeah. I think it was funny though that the music that was popular at the time, like this will be late 70s, early 80s, right, when we were in school there. I left school. I left at 81. You were 82, right? You're behind me there, Gavin.
Yeah.
He got held back. He's stupid. Oh no, he's not. He was a bit younger. Yeah, and it was a lot of the specials, madness, and the beats and that stuff that I was into publicly, but inside the house, I was listening to all that the Beatles and Simon & Garfunkel, Bob Dylan, and all that other stuff. We've done a show on our musical influences, so I won't bore the audience going through that again. But yeah, it was quite a dichotomy. There were definitely two sides of me.
I must have seen that though, because I like to listen to the Beatles and the Beach Boys, Simon and Garfunkel, above anything else really.
Yeah.
So you tapping a few tunes out, it kind of made me overcome being scared of you.
And I'm a really lovely chap, really. Okay, Simon says, let's do it again. Gig next year. Let's do it. Actually, I was hoping to do it this year, but yeah, something I can't remember what it was is stopping us coming over there. What does it
sounds like a plague.
It's the same thing that stopped me getting a haircut. I need a haircut. This is killing me. Anyhow. Although I could do a Beatles cover. We are going to do a Beatles show with a band called Load. And maybe I should just leave it like this for that show. What do you reckon? All right, thanks very much. Oh, no, I can't. So don't look at the... There we are, right. How's that, better?
I hate this hair. I'm jealous. I'm wearing the hat for a reason. So
Mark, on these shows, do you talk about your own music much? Because I remember you was a very modest, quiet type.
Yeah, and I still am.
Do you talk about your music?
Wait. Mark is modest and quiet? What? When
it's true. It's true. It's true.
I was being ironic. I've been sarcastic, a bit like certain advocates of injecting bleach.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, Clorox stocks went up apparently. I'm glad I got mine when I did. Yeah, we usually try and... I think the original idea of the show was, if you go back and watch the first few episodes, it was just me and Ryan, and it was edited, so we'd actually record it. It's pretty much the same setup, but I'll just record it and we'd edit it down later. The idea was that what I wanted was a variety show with music on it. We would talk about a song, or talk about the background of the song, and then here are some of the things that we do to make the song work, and we'll perform it. And the first couple of episodes kind of were like that, and then very quickly it was like, well, I think we're running out of things to say about ourselves. Let's get other people on. Now, I do try. I do warn the guests that this. We're not looking for sit down, ask questions, and you do all the work. We're looking for a round table, good discussion, talk to each other, get to know each other as well as promoting our guest. So we don't tend to do too much, and we got a little scared off about a year ago when we got cut off by playing a track of a CD. We got shut down.
Yeah, so, right mid-show. I think we had the song got out, but I think what was it like the last 10 seconds?
It was during the show. Phil got a note on his cell phone saying, "Oh, Sony's complaining," and then the Facebook feed shut right down.
Yeah.
And then when I uploaded I stitched the two parts of the show, and we carried on, but I stitched the two streams together and uploaded to Facebook, and then CD Baby cut us off. Like, what the? Anyhow, so we couldn't win on that one. So the last couple of episodes we've done, I've just requested live music recorded live from the guests. So hopefully then the algorithms won't pick it out and go, this doesn't belong to you, even though we have full permission. Yeah, so we
So,
don't.
so hopefully they haven't. They're not trying to match it up to some archive of trademark or entropy from 30 years ago.
That's right. And we didn't mention the name. Entropy was one of the names we went under as well. Now, do you remember what the definition of entropy was?
Something about falling into chaos or something, wasn't it?
Well, no, that's that's thermodynamics. The first law was the mean temperature which something will reach before it ignites, and then of course there's the then there's the everything moving into disorder. Anyhow, I only ever memorized the first definition in the dictionary. Yes, so that's kind of funny. Yeah, we have so we are going to play some of the. Actually, I'm not sure we were in trademark at the time for King of the King's Road. I think that one might be a good segue to go to the theatre, and maybe we'll have a look at. Oh, actually, no. I'm going to do. Got two things in the theatre we want to. So there is actually a. So Gavin and I, we met. Well, we went to school together, and I think we were both aware of each other was there, but didn't really become friends until we started playing music together. And so then we played. I'm not sure how long it was it 5 years, 8 years, whatever it was, and then then we broke up, and I came to Canada. And so 30 years later, I don't have any video recordings of us during that time. The only thing I've got of me and Gavin was I'd been in Canada about 7 years. So be about it was about 10 years ago now, 12 years ago. So Gavin played. We came over with my wife, and I sang the song to my wife. So Gavin and I ran off to. So we had like a ceremony at a church. Was it St. Peter's Church in Tishville, I think. St. Peter's, I think.
Yeah.
And then we were going to have the reception at the Queen's Head in Tishfield. And between the church and the pub, which is about 250 yards maybe, I jumped in Gavin's car, and then we went to what was my hotel room, and my wife's hotel room, and we practiced this song, right? And we practiced a couple of tunes, and then we came back, and then to surprise everybody, here we are, we're playing again after all these years. This is the only clip I've got, and it's kind of funny because it's a bit of a blooper as well. So here we go. Well, all I can say is there was a big gap where I didn't write any songs at all. And then suddenly out of the blue, I wrote this one for Sherry. Never thought. Never thought I could ever feel this way. I've been drinking. We haven't practiced one in a while. Some things never change. There we go. Never thought I could. And that's actually where the clip ends. Whoever took it didn't send me the whole thing. Anyhow, I thought that's hilarious. So yeah, bring back memories, Gavin.
Yeah, do we have to finish a verse off just before we went in there or something?
Sorry, do we have to finish the verse off?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, if you had to finish writing it.
Sorry, I don't understand what you mean.
He was asking if you had to finish off the last verse. Did you have to write the last verse just before you went on stage?
Oh no. But that would be normal for me. Quick, hash it together. I'll repeat the first verse. Sing it in the third person. Oh, whatever. Yeah. Anyhow,
and we've certainly done that on Kathy's song a couple of times, where it'll be first verse, second verse.
Yeah, that was a tough one. It doesn't really have much of a narrative, so you try to hang. Okay, what comes next? And you got to kind of remember it.
Yeah.
So it's not
and then it is a different type of song, right? That like it kind of fits in with us because of the folky sound to our to us, but it is a little bit more difficult to sort of pull because it yeah, you're right. It doesn't have like a chorus. It's just really like 4 verses, right? There's no real break.
No, it's actually 6 verses.
4 are the same.
6,
right? Oh, six! There you go.
There are
There's
six of
six
them,
verses.
That's fine. It's
That's why, and that's why we only do. Maybe that's it.
Well,
Maybe
no, we
it's
usually only do.
intentional.
I usually only
Maybe
do
that's
5
the
because I
reason
just don't remember.
Well,
okay.
that's the reason why we only do 3 of the 6, because there's 6, and only Simon and Garfunkel can remember those. So
Okay. I think I'm in the wrong. Where am I? Oh yeah. Actually, let's talk about King of the King's Road. So I'm going to play that one next. I'm going to play it in its entirety. Simon Lowes is playing on drums, and as I recall, King of the King's Road, Gavin, you played bass on that one. Can't remember.
I played bass.
Yeah.
And did I sing?
Yeah, we
Or was
both
it
did.
harmonies?
Yeah, we both did. It was one of those songs where I think it was your melody, and you had the melody in the first verse and the chorus at least written, I think. And I didn't like it at all. I remember, like, oh, really? And you were just playing the simple open chords, right? And then I think we were goofing around. It's like, oh, I want you to funk it up a little bit. And it's like, oh, I like it now. And I think we had the same thing with a couple of songs. Like, oh, let's just do that. Oh, that works better. Yeah, so what was I saying? I distracted myself.
You said you're going to play it, but actually on that King of the King's Road, I've got a photo of you with an interesting sort of poodle-style haircut.
Yes.
Sat down at Sloane Square.
That's right.
Posing for a photograph.
Yeah, right.
I think we're on our way to watch Chelsea that day.
We could go straight to the photographs instead of to the music.
oh, please do.
You want that? Yeah, okay. We'll do that instead. Right, here we go. And I'll pick that one out. Just give me a second here. And there we go.
There it is. There's a poodle.
What's funny, actually, I think we got some other pictures there where we both got the little too much hair on top and at the back. At least I didn't have that. I didn't have a child molester mustache. So now, as I recall, this picture would have been what, 19 or something, give or take.
Yeah,
something like that.
there.
And we went to see Chelsea play.
That's it.
Yeah, and they
Probably
lost.
played badly.
They won 5-4 against Man City. Oh, that's the Milk Cup final. Was that the Milk Cup final? Was that this one?
No, that was a different.
That was a different one. Okay.
Different day.
Okay.
We're going to Stamford Bridge that day.
Yeah. So that was I remember, and that was right outside. That was right outside the underground entrance, right? On the other side of the road.
Yeah, so that was down at Sloane Square Station. So we used to like to walk up the King's Road, look at the shop windows, the stuff we couldn't afford.
Yeah.
And get ready for the game psychologically, and pose for a few photographs.
Yeah, when we were all getting ready to cheer on the team. Solar. Anyhow. Yeah, for those of you who are familiar with Chelsea but don't know that name, that's because we're bloody old. Anyhow, so
of course, there's probably no shops down the King's Road anymore. So,
oh, really?
For those that don't know, it used to be full of men's fashion. It was renowned for that in the 60s and 70s, and now it's restaurants and coffee shops now. If you're lucky, they'll all be shut, of course, now.
Well, just think, I'm glad we didn't that song wasn't a hit. King of the King's Road, which is what we're going to hear shortly. That is, otherwise we'd be really dated, wouldn't we? Now. Anywho, all right. So that's actually a good intro to the song. So the song was really just talking about fashions and how it rules people's lives. I think that's pretty much the gist of it, is it? As you recall? Yep. Nope.
That's it.
Okay, have you frozen again?
No, I don't think so.
You're just very, very still. All right, they were frozen. Okay, all right. Let's get on with them. We're gonna what you're gonna see on the screen is a slideshow while this song's playing. King of the King's Road. Simon Lowes was playing the drums. We'll talk about the recording process afterwards. I think that would be a good next step there. The slideshow's from a gig we did, probably one of our last gigs, I think, in Burridge. It's actually in a farmland. We were back then, the area where we lived out, the Loxheath, Parkgate, Titchfield area was fairly countrified, and now it's just urban sprawl. But we actually played in a farmer's field on the back of a trailer with a generator behind us going tung 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 the whole time, and it was really off-putting, with lights that were made of bean tins painted matte black. And I'm not kidding. This was all done on a shoestring. And you'll see, and so you'll see Trademark on stage. Me and Gavin, and the drummer for this show was Steve Moore. And we'll probably have more. Oh yeah, some more pictures of with Stephen, right? So we'll see those. And before you say anything about what I was wearing, I loved that waistcoat. Anyhow, here we go. King of the Kings Road. Here we go.
King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. Even in man's what they should wear, he has captured them as they stare at the King of the Kings Road. 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 Get out the chew back, slow square. Seek the look that's down. Look through the glass and see him standing there, motionless, without a thought. King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. Even if that's what they should wear, he has captured them as they stare at the King of the Kings Road. 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 Watch the people as they gather round him to listen to his style. He just stands there watching over them as they worship. Their life is idle. King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. Even if that's what they should wear, he has captured them as they stare at the King of the Kings Road. 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 If it wasn't for his rank and his stature, you wouldn't be able to move. Or has his stained glass window fooled you? Fooled you? That he is king. King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. King of the Kings Road. Even if that's what they should wear, he has captured them as they stare at the King of the Kings Road. 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 Oh, they think he's blue. Oh, he calls all blues. King. King of the Kings Road.
There you go. Okay, Gavin, let's see if we can do the ending together. King of the... No, maybe not.
Go on. You know what? Whatever style of we fell into, we always seem to find either a Beatles ending or a Simon and Garfunkel ending.
That's right. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I still do that.
I got to say, the quality of the recording was pretty ropey. From what I heard.
That
you can
was
hear Simon's drumming is just fantastic. I mean, when we were playing that stuff, I thought we'd found our style then.
Yeah.
And our drummer.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, yeah, I mean, King of the Kings Road's on our regular set as well. Yeah, we've done that many times. So Ryan, the bass playing, is he any good?
I don't want to say. Yeah, no, it was fine. It's just it's different. It's just different from how I'm used to the song. And what's interesting is I think how we do it now is probably a little slower. Mm-hmm. That was fast. I was like, man, this feels very fast. Yeah, it's faster than what we normally play. And yeah, lots of really good good walking there. I like it. Very, very well done.
Yep.
But it has that end of the 1970s, early 1980s kind of that because
it's timeless. It's timeless. How dare you?
What? Hey, what now? What now?
It's timeless. How dare you?
Yeah, sure. And there's that, it has that sort of feel of that, the low end of the frequencies in the bass don't get fully captured, and that's probably just the limitation of your recording equipment, right? So it's got that sort of that flatter sound, right? Not pitch wise, but like just that sort of flat sound. That's not that sort of dynamic range in the bass, but other than that.
I'd like to hear it without the phaser on the guitar as well now.
Yeah, actually, no, but that was I think was it the guy that recorded that Steve Snook, was it Chris Snook?
No, we recorded that at in a church hall. Yeah, in Salisbury Green I think we just did it with a cassette player, didn't we?
No, that was one that we had. It was we had somebody record it who had a 4-track recording tape. And I think Chris Snook.
Okay. Maybe we borrowed Chris Snook's one.
Sorry?
You must have borrowed Chris Snook's 4-track then.
No, your memory is completely going. He recorded it. He wouldn't let us borrow it. He insisted on being there, which was great. And then he was the technician. And yeah, so we had the so we were set up actually. It was in a church hall. It was the old Loxley Free Church, which is not there anymore. And it was in the church hall. There was like the doors for the kitchen or the hatch rather, where they would serve the tea after the service. And you guys, they set the equipment up in the recording equipment in the kitchen with the doors closed, with the cables coming around, the mics were up. And then me and you were standing next to each other, and I forget where the drums were. I think we were just in a circle. And then Chris had taken, I don't know how many mics he had. I think he either had 3 sets of 2 mics or 1 or 3 mics set up at intervals down the hall, so we could get that reverb.
Okay.
You don't recall? That was.
I thought it was a different venue actually, but
no, that was that one.
But when I think about that church hall in Lockseath, I remember. Well, there's 2 things I remember. Is one, there's a neighbour came round because we were overpowering his lawnmower. We were too loud for his lawnmower, so he came to complain.
Right. Yep.
And I remember the pastor, God bless him, Gordon Skip came over one time, and he complained to you that we were being too loud, and you told him that it was only too loud if you were tone deaf. As I recall, it didn't go down that well with him.
Well, that's true. It was wonderful music.
Very different in those days. I mean,
here we go. So Simon remembers that it was at the church hall at Salisbury Green, not Loxley Free Church. Okay, so 2-1. I concede to the floor. All right. And what I do remember is one of the recordings we did. I can't remember which song it was now, but I was trying to do we had a harmony. There was a harmony in it. We did our first take. I was like, let's put a third harmony in there. And I forget who suggested it. Oh, I can work one out. I remember being alone in the room, and you guys were in the back, and I'm trying to find the harmony, and I'm like, no, I'm getting it. And I knew I was going to take a second or a third take, but I was done the first take, and the song faded, and then all I heard was and hysterics from the other room. Apparently, it was awful. Anyway, little memories. Anyhow, someone who's can't spell her first name, Teresa Holmes. Her first name's Cindy. Come on. Gavin's older sister there says, "Good evening, little bro." And Stallard, Mr. Stallard to you. I have a feeling my mum made the shiny waistcoats for you too. That, I believe, is true.
And the other thing that's true is that there's one of them anyway is still being used.
Oh, really?
My son is very fond of wearing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure where mine went. I don't know if I kept mine or not. I know my mum's got some of my stuff that I left when I moved here, but I have no idea if she has it or in what condition it would be in. Anyhow, so that was kind of a fun. So that was actually recorded. The reason why it was so janky it was an audio tape, just the old-fashioned audio cassettes which is a stereo cassette, and then they split each of the treating that so it was recorded on there with each stereo track was split into 2 tracks. There you go. I was going to go. I've got a whole load of them here, but I didn't want to get it out of the bag. Oh no, I can't put it up. And so there was 4 tracks forced on this little tiny bit of tape. And and I think we had to get more than 1 track with the drums on and everything, and then we had to play the song so it would bounce off onto another tape, and then you bounce it back on again. So then you have 3 more tracks. You have 7 tracks, and that's why it sounds all flat and compressed. And it was technology, eh?
But it was better doing it in 1 take.
Sorry.
And it's just limitations of what you had to do.
I think I can do way more on this thing.
If you listen to, even if you listen to what, and Mark will probably play it for you, or if he hasn't already played it for you, the song that we were talking about that I had written just before Mark and I started playing together, that was done through like a small soundboard, captured into the mic input of like a netbook, and using like completely free like Audacity and like multi-tracking and just doing everything I can to try and make it sound like something, instead of just like, just putting your phone in the middle of the room and hoping you catch the thing. But I had several tracks. I had a vocal track, I had a guitar track, I had a bass track, I had a drum track that I just programmed like it. And I know I get it. I'm not criticizing the quality because of it, because of lack of intent. No, it's just the only thing that really, as you asked as a bass player, what I thought of his playing. It's like, well, I thought his playing was fine. It just sounded a little flat, and it makes sense because that's the easiest way to split or to get more tracks is to do it stereo, and half your track or your right track is 3 more instruments, and then the left track is another 2 instruments, and then like just what you can do to make 4 tracks into 8, and 8 into like 9 or 10 or something like that, right? So yeah, I know exactly. I know the plight, man. I know how.
It was a lot of fun though.
Oh, for sure. That kind of creative problem solving is great.
I can only imagine what we would have come up with had we had this kind of a technology, because we were recording all the time. But we were recording on a shitty little microphone on a tape deck, which probably was an expensive tape deck at the time. But it's, today's quality is, something that we probably should never have recorded anything good on. And that's what we would record it all the time. We'd do a new song, we'd practice it, let's record it. And I got lots of those cheesy recordings, and I'm sure we would have just been doing nothing but recording and good quality stuff if we had the equipment we have now.
But the good thing, I mean, I've been sort of trying to listen to some old cassettes that hadn't fallen apart, and it's those bits in between the songs when we're taking the piss out of each other and having a laugh, making errors, and I mean that's where the memories are made, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Oh, those are the ones.
Actually, Ryan and I recorded. I got Ryan to record some voice for a couple of cartoons that we did. And he says he's got the audio tracks. It was just audio we were recording, and just the screw ups that were happening. We laughed so damned hard on that recording. It was way more insane than the cartoon ended up being.
All of a sudden, it's like you're like, okay, well, here's like a serious section of the script where it's like, script, and then all of a sudden it'd be like mess up, and then it's just uproarious laughter for like 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, all right, stop. Quiet. Back into the script here. Back into the theory. Here we go. And it'd be like halfway through that, and then another screw up. And
when you have me directing, it was like, that was fantastic. That was perfect. Do it again.
Yeah, and then you'd hear screw you, Mark.
And it'll be, do it again. Okay, no, do it again, but this time.
No, it wasn't that. But there'd be lots of times where it'd be like, well, what do? You try and say one particular line, and there's nothing particularly special or difficult about the line, but for the love of God, you cannot get it out, right? You just cannot say it. And then you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try this again. All right, I'm gonna do this, and messed up again, and it's like, okay, well, one take Jance was not here today, that's for sure, and like a lot of
I've got a
dumb
few of those.
shit like that. So,
Yeah, we've got a few videos actually where we were doing some. We did some commercials for this show, right? We did some teasers, and you said that more than once. Yeah, we'll play those again. We did play those on the show last year, but maybe we'll do those again because those were a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, the elephant outtakes and it was a great time. Great time.
Amazing what a good time we can have with music. Doing it the kind of the old-fashioned way.
Yep.
I don't know whether it quite happens the same with technology. I mean, Mark, sort of preparing for coming on your show, I was obviously sending you over some photographs and things, and it stirred a lot of memories of one particular summer we spent most of the summer in Steve Moore's garage.
Yeah.
With the kit set up for the whole summer.
And we had mattresses and blankets hanging everywhere. We had almost no room to move.
Try and minimise the complaints.
Yeah, trying to minimise the bleeding sound for the neighbours who complained all the time.
I say this summer because the sun's been out, but this has been the nearest I felt to those times really with the sun out. It was a really great summer, and in between we were all chilled out, having fun, being creative and doing great stuff.
Yeah, I've got lots of memory too. That's because we were poor, right? So it was Margaret Thatcher's. We were the first generation to join the workforce under Margaret Thatcher's reign of terror. So we didn't have any work. So we would walk everywhere pretty much on your bike, and we would just leave the bikes behind. We'll just put the guitars on, and we would walk down the street to go around playing the guitar as we went. So it was and I remember doing that all. I remember it being so cold. We actually would end up wearing the gloves with the fingers cut off, so we could still play our guitars but keep warm.
Imagine how distracted you'd be nowadays by PlayStations and or even your 32 track virtual recording studio. Yeah. There's too much to distract you nowadays. We're kind of blessed to have the time that we did.
Yeah, well, but I think the only regret, and it's not anything we could have done anything about, was that if we had more places to play, because we had I would say we probably had a good 60 plus songs ready to go at a moment's notice. All we had was churches. I think later on we went further afield. Once I got a car, we ended up going to Southampton and Portsmouth. But it was really difficult, right? It was, where do you play?
That's true. But we were victims of ourselves, really. We had an identity crisis between being a church gospel band and being a secular band. Yeah. And we kind of oscillated between the two, didn't know which one we were. Yeah,
I do remember at one point us having that discussion, actually, and it was like, let's just be honest with ourselves. I mean, these are love songs and they're not religious songs. Let's just keep them as religious songs, right? Because there are a few songs that are very, very, have a very definite religious content, even though you wouldn't know it. Strange Lover, for one, and I play that one as a solo when I do solo acts. And there's a very religious context to that song, right? But I wouldn't change the lyrics on that one. I mean, there's no real need to. I mean, it comes across as and I introduced it as a song about unconditional love. And I've rearranged it because that's what I do, to jazz it up a little. But that was a song we did quite a lot. There was a couple of songs. Moonlight Mist was a religious song, Ryan. I don't know if I remember telling you or not.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. In fact, I remember when you first played King of the Kings Road for me. And you're like, yeah, that was back in the gospel sort of days. And I remember I probably did something like this.
Yeah, yeah. Really? And that's from the guy who was going to church regularly at the time. Yeah.
Because I think that would have been about the probably the second or third time that we would have talked about that. And that doesn't matter one way or another to me either way. I grew up in church. I still actively go to a church and member of a church.
You go to church? So, not that there's anything wrong with that.
What was that? Sorry?
You go to church? Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Turn another phrase. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so it's like that didn't bother me, and even that, like, because played in a number of bands long before Mark, and of course, obviously, you're young in church, and then everyone knows that you play an instrument. They want to join a band, and they want to do like U2 songs, and they want to do all these other things that are sort of vaguely Christian, but just sort of dance the line. And I was always like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to dance the line. If I'm gonna play hard rock, or if I'm gonna play rock, I'm gonna play rock. And if I wanted to join a gospel or a Christian type band, that's the kind of music I would focus on. I'm not gonna sort of dance this line and sort of integrate and say like, oh, well, this is Creed, and it has sort of vaguely religious context to it. It's like, well, if you want to go to that level, sure, I guess we could break down every song and say, oh yeah, well, we could just replace this, and
which is what we did. That was pretty much. I think we always seem to try and get that, try to interpret them that way, and we'll be honest. We were honest. A lot of the songs were just love songs, and then we had to try and.
And there's nothing absolutely wrong with that.
No.
And I remember having those discussions when I was about 16 or 17 years old, where you'd be sitting and you'd have your third or fourth practice, and then they're like, oh, well, we want this to be like a very gospel, and we want to do worship. I'm like, okay, well, then we have to drop these songs. Well, those songs could be worshipful. I'm like, yeah, no. Like, just it's okay to write a song about somebody you love. That doesn't make you less Christian because you wrote a song about somebody you actually have feelings for. So like, there's this entrapment that I think that most I was, because I'm only there because I can speak from experience, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna create this band and it's gonna be great, and it's all gonna be about like God, and it's like, well, the first song that you write is about your girlfriend, and it's like, oh, that's not bad. That doesn't make you less of a Christian or less of a religious person. You wrote a song about something you have feelings for, right? Like that's.
Well, yeah, we were definitely at that spot, for sure, for a while, for a long while.
And it's an awkward spot. It can be an awkward spot.
Well, I mean, again, it wasn't really that difficult for us. I mean, you don't judge what we were doing by today's standards, right? We grew up and we lived in English village, right? We went to a village church. Everybody went to church. If you stole a candy bar at the newsagent, you could be damn sure there was someone that went to your church and was going to tell someone, and you'll be in trouble for it, right?
Right.
So that
and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I get it. I grew up in church as well. I still go to church. I still actively.
It was the community, right? It was the community, as opposed to the community churches we have here that are mega churches that are outside the bloody city, in a big field. Those aren't community churches. Anyhow, that's for another show.
That's for the show where we talk about
no religion. Well, actually, no. The rule is no religion and politics unless it intersects with the music. And
that's
today it does.
It really
today religion does
intersect, right? I mean, this is our background. We're talking about how we join bands and get things started. So, no judgment there. And I totally sympathize if you had those awkward conversations in the band where you're like, well, are we not? Or should we not?
Again, it wasn't an awkward conversation. It was just kind of coming to terms with what we're doing.
Yeah,
it wasn't like we felt bad for it, or it was just getting it in our heads, because church was everything at that point, right, Gavin?
Right.
It was our life.
But we were writing love songs, like you say.
Yeah, and we had our own angst that we were dealing with there, being in our late teens, early 20s. We had our political views as well that sometimes came through.
Yeah. So some of the love songs were talking about being treated like shit on your shoes.
That's right.
Things like that.
Oh, and little tidbit. Gavin wrote that song, and he was very proud of. Or he was the one as a birthday girl. I think he wrote the first verse, chorus, and maybe the second verse, and then I just wrote the third verse quickly because you couldn't be bothered to finish it off. As usual, we did that. We did that song at Burridge. That slideshow we saw, and we had a whole lot of church people turn up, and Gavin wouldn't sing the word shit, and I was so pissed off with him. I was like, "You ruined the song. You make me feel like on your shoes." I was like,
I think I did. It was just slightly or extremely slurred.
Look, you got to sing it properly. And I gave you a hard time for that. I was generally pissed off. Anyway, as I recall. Actually, yeah. I did want to shout out the band that we were playing with. I don't know if they're still together. The band that was on that slideshow, I think, did they open for us or did we open for them? I can't remember.
Missing Link.
Missing Link, yeah.
We opened for them.
Sorry?
I think we opened for them, didn't we?
I can't remember.
I can't remember, but they had Tim Rombach on drums, who was another really good drummer, and a good friend of ours.
Yeah, and
I remember Chris on vocals and Eric, who was a mad guitarist.
Yeah, actually,
very good guitar.
And that was not the first time we were on stage together. Do you remember the first time we were on stage together? Or actually, it might be the second time, actually. The other time?
No.
Okay. Abshot Community Centre. Steve Moore got us a gig for one of the community centre events. They apparently, they were looking for a DJ or something. Steve says, "Oh, I know these guys. I'm in a band. Can we play the music?" So that we did that gig, and I'm sure you'll remember the next part of the story. We did our sound check. We were good. So Tim turns up with Missing Link, and they start setting up. And you can't tell from there, but they're like kind of a heavy thrash kind of band. Rush was a big influence for the band as well. So
Rush!
You get an idea of where they're coming from. And so they start warming up. And we're doing our gentle pop jazzy stuff, right? And one of the women that was running it came over and said, "Okay, that's it. You're done. Neither of you are playing." You remember that? And I went nuts on it. I remember going nuts. Oh man! Oh, I'm sure if words were fists, she would have been back in blue.
Because we were too loud.
Yeah, because Missing Link was too loud.
Wow.
Yep, and you had. I remember you were videotaping it, and we were going to watch the videotape just to laugh at just how crazy I was. And your dad had actually sent the videotape machine to St. Helena, I think it was. He was sending stuff back, and so our tape of me going nuts was on the tape that went across the Atlantic to a little island somewhere. So someone probably looked and went, "What the hell is this crazy SOB doing?" Anyway,
all right,
you don't remember that?
You
don't remember that at all?
Gavin, most memorable gig, good or bad?
You don't remember it? Yeah. Anyhow.
It's always the first time, isn't it? Really.
Well, when
it's
we were alone.
The first time. So we, I remember it because it was a friend's wedding. I think birthday. Caroline Foot's birthday.
Okay.
And it was in a hall, and she must have been one of the older ones. So she was one of the first ones that had this 18th birthday or whatever it was. And we managed to persuade her it'd be a good idea for us to play a few songs. So that's the one that sticks in my mind, mainly because Mark wanted me to open up with a little picky bit on the guitar, and I was so scared that my hand was shaking like that, and it took me about 2 or 3 goes to get started on it. Yeah, so I'll never forget that. Yeah. all the wrong reasons.
Well, I always have trouble with.
I have two experiences. My two best. One was like the best, and one was the worst. The best one was by far our best performance. I think was at our CD release party. That was just we had a full house. Lots of people came out, supported us. Just had a great set. And by that time we had been playing so many gigs. It was like, hey, let's just go. We set up, got it going, and there's complications with that gig already, but that was probably our best. That was my favorite performance that we had done. And then the worst was same venue. We're playing at the Loft. We were playing on a Wednesday night. And Mark, you'll remember this because we talked about this on one of our other shows. We had a drummer who was sitting in for Scott, and he went to go. They had the 2 big speakers on either side. That was their sound system on the fold out legs, and they hadn't set or locked the pin in place. And so Scott went up like this just to go and move the speaker so he could hear a little better. And it went, boom, and it took out like a table. There was like glasses and like cutlery went flying everywhere. It was like, oh, this is terrible.
Well, it wasn't that they just hadn't put the pin in too. And it wasn't that they hadn't put the pin in. It's because that's quite wide legs and it was a really tiny stage.
Oh, right.
So what they'd done is they'd taken them and pushed them together so that the pin wouldn't have done anything anyway. Yeah, so it was already tottering, and then it went.
Yeah, it just took them like one thing, and it just went down, and it took out the table. Like the table went like flying. There was glasses. The glasses went flying, and I was just like, I was just like watching because it went in slow motion, right? So,
okay.
Yeah.
So Cindy says
my worst ever gig. Oh. My worst ever gig was after Mark. Actually, I was with a band. I think we kept the trademark name, and Nick Foot and Steve Moore. I can't remember who else was actually playing with me that day, but we were playing in Portsmouth in this multi-story car park that Mark will remember, and it had a little club called Basins. And when we got there to play the gig, they were still cleaning up from the night before when there'd been a mass brawl. Anyway, we weren't put off, and it was a bit threatening. We found it was a bit like the Blues Brothers in the Country Bunker. We found we had the wrong audience, and I think I started playing King of the Kings Road or something, whatever it was, and someone came up to me and shouted in my ear when I was on the mic, and he said, "Do you know any Clash?" I had to politely say, "No, it's not in the sets," and try to get through this jazz funk set and get out. And there was no chicken wire.
Yep. No, you had I remember you had a saxophonist. Did anything happen? Yeah.
Yeah.
I came back to one of your practices.
We played a few gigs in the Joiners Arms, and most of the time the band didn't know each other, so it was just kind of just enjoy yourselves and just
have some fun.
Look for a nod. Yeah. It was fun, but it wasn't. It's disciplined. You wouldn't expect me to use the word discipline, but you and I did write stuff together and know what the songs were and practice them. Yeah. And it was nothing like that.
Yeah, I do still practice crazily. I'm trying to get as perfect a performance as I can, and I still screw up.
Yeah.
Actually, now was that the same place we went to? Because there was a place in Portsmouth, and I probably couldn't take us there, but I remember turning up. It was our first time playing in anywhere in that area, and we were all excited. Me, you, Steve, turn up. We set up in this club, and the place is empty. And it was like we were kind of looking at each other. Well, we got a gig here. Oh, are you playing today? Well, yeah. They said lunchtime show. Figure we'd have some lunch people there. And they're like, oh no. But well, we agreed to it. So I think they paid us, but we did the set anyway. And I do recall it was Steve Moore was singing the lead for Twist and Shouts, and while we were doing the sound check, I think you were talking to the sound guy, right? You remember that?
Right.
And
no.
Oh, because then you told me the sound guy says, or maybe you were up there and he was talking to me, but he says, "There's no way I can make this guy sound good." So there you go. We figured John Lennon screams it. You haven't got to be able to sing it. Apparently you do. But the backups with me and Gavin did were great. And actually, there was a reference in one of the cartoons that I did, Ryan, where I mentioned the. Do you remember that gig we did with there was the bartender, a waitress, and his dog? That was the place I'm referring, because there was the dog there. There was, as I recall, there was a bartender, barmaid, one guy sitting at the bar, and he had a dog next to him. That was it. That was our. That was the gig, and we played our set. We played our set to this little empty room, and as I recall, they paid us. They still paid us.
Yeah. Well, we played to a few places like that where it's been like the Loft has been pretty dead. There's a couple of times when we played there. The Loft isn't there anymore, but that's a different story altogether. Mm-hmm. We've had some pretty low turnouts of that one. I'm trying to think.
Well, I think most of the low turnouts
the Loft had the lowest turnout.
Well, Well, most of the low turnouts, which were due, I think, because the way the liquor laws were, is that in order for a pub to serve liquor throughout the week and late in the night, they had to be declared a cabaret. In order to have a cabaret license, they had to have music multiple times a week, and so they would have, maybe on a Tuesday and Wednesday, they'd have singer-songwriters in to play to an empty room, and that's what they played Shannon's a few nights there. It was free money. A couple of Waldorf and Stadler on the end of the bar heckling, but they were friendly hecklers. But we had a lot of those.
Shannon's was good to us that one time that we played there, and there's been decent, but I mean, there's gigs that we didn't get, and I'm glad that we didn't get, because I remember okay, so there's this club that opens up, or it had gotten redone, and so I went and talked to the owner. I was like, yeah, hey, I'm involved with 2 different projects, and I've got a third guy that I'm representing here that I can bring in. The guy's a DJ. He can do like house music and stuff like that, and Euro style music, like dance music. He's like, okay, that's great. And I said, okay, then I want these 2 dates, a Friday and a Saturday. One band will be one night, one will be the other, and it's gonna be. And I went in like, this is what we're gonna get paid for, and he's like, no, I don't pay like that. I was like, well, we need $300 or we're not showing up. They're like, well, the only way you're getting $300 is if you bring in the 300 people. I'm like, buddy, I'm not here to promote your bar. Sure, I'll tell as many people as I can, but I'm not here to promote your bar. And then what ended up happening is Andy, the DJ, went on Thursday night, or he went on Wednesday night, and they asked him to come back for Thursday night. And he decided that he didn't, because they screwed him on a bunch of money, and it was late, like in the evening, so he didn't load out all his stuff, and then they wouldn't give him his equipment back, and he called me, and he's like, I was like, if you need help, I'll come down and I'll help you get it out of there, get your stuff out of there. He's like, no, I got it all. It's all loaded up in my car, but I'm never playing there again. I'm like, that's fine, because neither are we. And I called him up and I canceled the gig. Yep. Right away. I was like, are you crazy? Like, what's going on here, man? I don't think that club really gets a whole lot of traction.
Yeah,
it's still there, actually.
Okay, we have been going for about an hour and 10. Are you good to keep talking, Gavin, or do we do you have a hard stop?
I'm good for five minutes.
Great, sounds good. We're definitely going to have to have you back on, because we got a whole load of images and some music that we are not going to get time to play. But I think it would be fun just to look at a couple of old pictures there while we're waiting. While we're at the end, and there's give me a sec here. Here we are. Do we look innocent and sweet, or what?
That's from the Simon and Garfunkel days, right? That's very Simon and Garfunkel.
It's very brown in those days as well, isn't it?
It was, yes. Yeah, we actually, that was probably a hot, dry day, and I do remember that show. Actually, I do remember doing that one. Now that was that Duncan Road Church Youth Club or something?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay, there we are. And here we go. And for years, actually, we had these photographs taken. Now, for those of you watching, this was back. As you can actually tell by the state of the pictures, the world had only just become color. That's how when it was. Right? But there's a little bit of fluff on my hair there, as you can see. And I to this day, I have no idea what it was or how it got there, but it was something with texture that was on my hair the whole time. And that's always bothered me a bit. And the wide shot. Now I remember, I can tell you this. I can't give you the title of the song while we were playing it, Gavin, but I do remember the song. It was a 3/4 in the key of C, and it went on for about 5 minutes, and I played the harp on it.
What about Dear?
Sorry,
was it Atlantis by Donovan?
No, it was one of ours. It was on one of our songs, but it was one of those narrative ones that just kind of went on.
It was one about a deer or something.
That's the one. Yes. And I can't remember what it was called, but yeah. But that was the one. That was the one we were playing.
You wrote it.
Sorry. Yeah, I remember. But I remember, as soon as I saw the picture, I'm like, I know exactly what I was playing. And
You see, when we were talking about searching for our audience, we had more people there than we had in that pub.
yeah.
So maybe that's why we stuck with it for a bit longer.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here what. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna skip over here because I don't want to go through all these. There we go. So from left to right, Steve Moore, and you know the other two.
Happy days.
Yeah, where was that? I can't think for the life of me where I was. I don't remember this at all.
I'll tell you where you were. You were at Duncan Road, what turned out to be an industrial estate.
Okay.
They were building an industrial estate then, and we decided to set up on a grass verge, basically, by an industrial estate.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah, we did. Actually, when I saw this, it did remind me because we spent a lot of time in fields and by train tracks and whatever, and we were just looking for inspiration or whatever, or just looking for something to do. And there was a song, one that kind of sticks in my memory, that we played quite a lot, that we wrote beside the train tracks, and it started off being a joke, and then we ended up playing. I don't know how many times we played it. We played a lot. It started like wispy clouds on the fire of the sun. Remember it?
I do indeed, yes.
And it was one of those. And it was just like we were just looking around.
Okay, wispy clouds
on the fire of the sun. Yeah, a song called "Caressed."
Hold on. Let me go. I'm channeling my inner AM.
And it was
And
in the key of E, first chord was E major 7. And it was like, and it was a joke because we were just looking around where we were and just adding lyrics based on what we saw. And I think the jet streams, I think we called them. We found out later that's not what they are, but the jet trails that ended up being in it, and a few other things too.
That's right, ladies.
There we go. So this is me playing bass there, Ryan.
Wispy clouds on the heat of the sun.
On the fire of the sun. Anyway, I've got that somewhere.
Opening up with a minor 7.
Oh, here we go.
Is that what it was? A minor 7?
Here it is.
Wispy clouds under the fire of the sun. Stars appearing in the sky one by one. A gentle breeze.
Anyway, you get the idea. But it ended up being one we played regularly because it was just so much fun to do. Anyhow,
that is as much Simon and Garfunkel as I've ever heard you sound.
Well, we need to get another voice. There was some more of that. Oh yeah, Ryan. So that's me playing bass. Just you haven't rarely see me playing bass. And now what I did remember too when I saw this one, we were obviously playing a tune because we wouldn't have just mind. But yeah, you notice where the guitars change. Every time we did a show, it would be one of us would play the bass and the other would play the guitar, right? And I think we would always about halfway through a set would have the patch cables would be like entwined, and it never occurred to me until years and years and years later, why the hell didn't we just arrange the set so Gavin plays the bass on the first set, I play the bass on the second set, because it was always take it off, pass it over, bring it back. Anyway, I remember always having like, damn it, we're tied up again.
It doesn't flow, right? Like it's all about the flow of the set. There's
that was all I was thinking,
picking set.
And I think that was all we were thinking about. Yeah. And there we are, sexy boys in their underwear. So now this was in a park, right? Was that Southampton?
Southampton Common.
There we go. I got that one right. I remember. I just recognised the trees. Anyway, and one last image. There we go.
Very nice.
You remember this one, Gavin?
We got the man in black there striking.
You don't remember this? Okay, I'll tell you what it is in a second. But I do remember the guy that was taking this. That took this. We had one of us had a camera. It was probably you. I don't think I really even to this day I don't really think about bringing my phone out and taking pictures. But But yeah, I remember you going up to say, "Do you fancy yourself as a David Bailey?" It always stuck with me. Like, what's a silly thing to say? David Bailey was a world-renowned photographer in the 1970s and 80s. Anyway, so that's Chichester.
On the way to Goodwood.
On the way to Goodwood, the inaugural folk festival. Yeah, they were marketing it as the first annual Goodwood Folk Festival, and I think I ranted all the way there. It can't be the first annual one. It's the anyway. Yeah, that was a fun day where we met. I think we first saw an Ovation played properly.
Adrian Legg.
Adrian Legg. And yeah, because I've seen Ovations before, and one of the guys at church would play it, and played it just like everybody else played the guitar. Lots of open chord, don't go past the third fret kind of thing. Strum, strum, strum. Oh, so I did like his guys. A balladeer, as I recall, it was a decent guitar, sounded fine. But once I saw Adrian Legg, I just fell in love with those things. Actually, do I make? Oh, yeah. Yay!
Yeah, she is.
Woohoo! Yeah. It's a bit out of tune, but yeah. I play I play my one of the other guitars regularly, so that one's in tune. But there you are, and yeah, he was a first time I think I ever really saw someone actually play the guitar, and I wasn't able to actually see how he was doing it because his fingers were moving so damn fast.
He was amazing, still is.
We went. It was he wasn't actually playing at the folk festival. He was actually demonstrating Ovation guitars. And then there was a little cubicle, and there was this big fuss. So Adrian Legg was going to be there. We hadn't heard of him, so I thought, we'll hang around. These guitars look nice because they had a whole lot of guitars in this little display. And this young guy gets in. They were a little older than us at the time, right? So we were 16, 17 then. And this guy came in. It must have been late teens, early 20s. Picks up the guitar, and he's playing. I'm like, wow, he's pretty good. Put us to shame. And then this old guy comes in on flat cap, pipe. Looks like he just come from the farm, James Herriot kind of thing. And he goes, well, pretty good. It was nice. And then he goes, takes the guitar, and we had the wrong guy. The old guy was Adrian Legg.
A talcum powder on the fingers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. And we did that so much, and the guitars got all crappy. We didn't actually see him clean it off, so we never cleaned it off. Yeah, just get those fingers moving across the strings, gets rid of the squeak. Yeah. Anyhow, those are the days. So I think we're gonna have to have you back on so we can go through some more of these memories. So hopefully you've had fun.
Yeah, I sure have. I'd like to talk some more about some of the music you produced as well.
Yeah.
Next time, Mark.
Let's do that. Yeah,
I know you are modest.
I am. I am, and we actually will. I do have a video queued up, Moonlight Mist. But why don't we leave that for next time? And we'll kind of leave it there, I think. And we'll continue doing this. We'll figure out when you can come on next. I'd say the sooner the better. We can even do it next week. But hang around after the show, Gavin. We'll chat a little bit more, and we'll make those arrangements. Sure. So so Teresa Holmes, odd name there. Cindy, sorry. She wants to see the Django wearing the waistcoat. So can you arrange that for her?
Yep.
Actually, I did want to say that Gavin's older sister, Teresa, the family called her Cindy, and I always did as well, once Gavin and I were hanging out together all the time. But my sister as well, her first name's Teresa as well, and the family called her Jane, so we always had that in common. Like Ryan and I... so Gavin and I had older sisters called Teresa that we didn't call Teresa, and Ryan and I share the middle name, David. Anyhow, absolutely nothing.
That's how it goes.
Okay. Anyway, so Simon just says all the best, guys. Good to see you. Stay safe. Hope we can catch up again soon. Hope we can, and I'll let you know, Simon, next time we got Gavin on, and maybe actually, if you're still active playing music, Simon, maybe we could get you on as well. Anyhow, thanks everybody for joining us. It's been a lot of fun, Gavin. And we'll see everybody else next week, 2:00 again on Saturday. No guest set up yet, but we'll get that promo out as soon as the arrangements are made. Okay, so thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll catch you later. Bye. See you next week.
Cheers, guys.